people of Earth, and welcome to Backlogged, a mini-series chronicling my quest to actually finishing at least one game per month for the whole year. My first target is a game I've actually tried to finish 2 other times before, an indie roguelite called Moonlighter. The first time was on Nintendo Switch a few years ago. I got so hooked on the gameplay loop, which we'll get into more in a minute, that I neglected the main story until I got bored and moved on to something else. Flash forward to a few months ago, and I was perusing games for my newly acquired Steam Deck, and I came across that again and thought, man, I really liked this. So I picked it up and started all over. To kick this series off, I finally hunkered down and finished it off. So here's what it's all about and what I thought of it. In the game, you play as Will, an adventurous lad who runs his store, the titular Moonlighter, by day and spelunks into dangerous dungeons by night. The dungeon dives are where you're going to get your wares that you sell in your store and gather materials you're going to need to upgrade your gear and take on the harder dungeons as the game progresses. The game has 4 different dungeons to offer: the Golem Dungeon, the Forest Dungeon, the Desert Dungeon, and the Technology Dungeon. They're all randomly generated every run and have 3 levels. If you die at any point, you lose everything you've collected and you get sent back to the shop with nothing. But if you do make it to the top and defeat the boss, you'll not only unlock the next dungeon, but you'll also gain a key. You need to collect all 4 keys from all 4 bosses, and you'll be able to open the mysterious 5th gate and find out what secrets lie inside. Even though the dungeon crawling does seem to be the main element of the game, running the shop is definitely not an afterthought. You'll need to tend to the customers, adjust your prices, and even deal with shoplifters all in real time. You can upgrade the size of your shop, add amenities that make your customers liable to stay longer and even tip better, and you can even hire an employee to run the store for you for a chunk of the profits as their payment. You'll need to grow your retail empire in order to finance your spelunking because gold is used for various different things around town. Upgrading your gear and weapons at the blacksmith, paying the local witch for potions and enchantments, and even paying your way out of the dungeons if things get out of hand. The loop of looting and selling is so addictive I often found myself getting lost in it more than focusing on finishing the game. So once I set off again, I was determined to become a retail juggernaut and finally unlock the 5th gate. I won't spoil the story here, but I will say I really liked it. Some of you might be worried it's going to be a little bit too repetitive, which is totally fair, but it doesn't have to be too bad of a grind if you don't want it to be. As a matter of fact, the only downside I really had with the game is once you hit the mid-game, money becomes kind of trivial. At that point, all I needed to worry about was looting the right materials to upgrade my gear as much as I could, then I could fairly easily just tank my way through to the boss. There's a few different kind of weapons, but I found that the big sword had a spin attack ability that let me basically stand in the middle of the boss room and just get multiple hits on them whenever they got close. There was a few times I had to top off my health with a potion or 2, but even that was rare because outside of all the boss rooms, there's a magical pool that can replenish you to full health before you go into battle. All in all though, I found the pros really outweigh the cons and it is absolutely worth playing. Just be aware that unless you indulge in the loot farming and shopkeeping ends of the experience, it can be a little bit of a short ride. It does have a DLC called Between Dimensions, but for the purpose of this mini-series, I'm going to stick strictly to base games, so we'll cover that in another episode. All in all, I give Moonlighter a solid 7 out of 10. What about you? Have you played Moonlighter? Do you like it? Are you more apt to play it now that you've watched this review? Let me know down in the comments. And if you'd like to see more videos like this and follow my journey to actually clear some games off of my backlog, hit the subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video.